Okay, next up we have Marla Lawson. Thank you.
Hi. One thing I want to say is, Clay, you have come a long way since the first time I saw you speak. That was very good. Very good. I've lived in Boise County 30 years. I'm not from Boise County. Okay? You're not from Boise County unless you're born here. I have worked in Republican politics for most of that time. I am the secretary for the state executive board, which means I am the secretary for 700 people. I help run the state meetings, I check people in, I have to verify all the proxies when people aren't there and they give the proxies to other people. I call roll, I do the minutes. I work with the executive committee, I work with the executive director, I have good working relationships with them. I have good working relationships with most of our legislature. I was Dorothy Moon's alternate in the legislature for 3 sessions. She trusted me with her vote, and it meant a lot to me. I'm an Ivy 500 member, which means I get $1,000 a year to the Republican Party out of my paycheck. And I don't have a great paycheck. It hurts. But it's important. We have to keep conservative values alive in Idaho. My husband and I ran a business here for 25 years, sold it 5 years ago. We built it out of the ashes of the 1989 Lawson complex fire. It's hard to run a successful business in Lawson. We worked hard at it, and you have to know that you scramble every minute of the day. It's what we do, and it's what I'll do as your county commissioner. I look at all these issues that Lindy and Clay brought up. They're absolutely right. Everything they said is true. I've looked at our county departments. I've talked to our county department heads. I will work with each county department head to try and raise efficiency throughout the county. We have to look at the budget. We have to find a way to pay our employees more without putting it on the back of the taxpayers. We have to look at our property taxes. Right now, there are people that have lived here all their lives that are getting taxed out of their homes. And the legislature seems to keep kicking it down the road. It's very frustrating. So we have to find a way to make it better. You're going to have those working relationships with the legislature and with your statewide officers in order to get anything done. You may have to start a Proposition 13. You may have to go out there and work for signatures. I will support anybody that wants to make a change in property taxes in Idaho, and I will work my butt off to try and help. The roads, I have right here a list from last July of the traffic on each and every road in Boise County for 2 weeks in July. We got a lot of traffic in the summertime. We've got issues we got to deal with. 17 and 55, top priority. Somebody's not going to make it when they got to get out of here and it's an emergency. People sit for hours on that road. It's a problem. I've worked with the committee that's been trying to get something done. We're going to make sure that that keeps marching forward. I do believe that 17 should be a state highway. It has been 25 years that we've been working on it, and the state is like a horse with a carrot, right? Well, do this and we'll do it, do this and we'll do it. I'm working with Dorothy Moon on that. She's been working on state level with it. Hopefully that will finally come to fruition. I'm just trying to think of all the things. I don't write everything down here. I have worked large businesses. I've supervised 30 employees. I have trained, hired, fired, scheduled. I have done technical work. I worked for Tribune Communications in Tacoma. I oversaw their transition from old technology to computers. I did their software maintenance, their hardware maintenance. I worked on Radio Page before we had cell phones, okay? So I can grasp technology, I can move forward with technology. We're going to have to do that too. The Zoom meetings, county's already working on it. Let's facilitate that, let's get it done. Transparency is extremely important. Brandon Wolf, our state controller, has been working for 4 years on a transparency website to make sure that every person in the state can log on and see what their state government is doing to spend money. Boise County is among the pilot counties. They're going to get to tie their county onto that website where you can see all the way down to even eventually the city level how your government's spending money. Vote for me. I want to work for you. That's what I want to do. I want to listen to you. I want to make sure that we hold on to our culture. We control our growth. You can't stop it. Don't shut the gates. Just make sure that we are still Boise County and we still have our culture when this is over. You know, I have seen the changes. I have seen things kind of get out of control. I worry about places like Avamore where they're putting 900 homes in Boise County this year. Just the burden to try and get that on the tax rolls is too much for our assessor's department. So, you have to look at this stuff. Our EMS is a disaster right now in Lawson, Horseshoe Bend, Placerville. They're fighting to get things back. Garden Valley's pretty lucky. They got some really good people working. You're going to have a new chief pretty soon. Great volunteers. They need to iron out a few things so that their communications are better, but they're doing a great job. I want to see maybe some of that model throughout the county to where we can find a way to keep our emergency services working. I watched a friend have a cardiac episode an hour and 45 minutes before anyone got to him. I don't know how he lived. It's why I signed up, took the classes, became an EMT, but now I have to find somebody to run with. I have to get some experience, and it's not there in the moment. So we are working very hard to try and rebuild that structure, hopefully in a way that it's sustainable, because I've seen good services and then I've seen it fall apart, and then you're rebuilding again. So we need to find a way to make it sustainable. I don't write all this stuff down, so I don't know if I missed anything. I'd be glad to answer questions, but May 17th is the primary. I'd love to be your county commissioner. Marla Lawson.
Questions? Anybody? Aha! Oh, okay. No.
I'd like to hear your, for the highway cemetery, Banks Lowman Road, what about a toll commission? Have you thought about that?
It actually has been addressed before. Actually, when Fred was a county commissioner, they talked about a toll road. When Alan was a county commissioner, they talked about a toll commission. Haven't been able to get legs under it. But if somebody brings me a plan that the community will agree with, I wouldn't mind it. I would love to see it. I would like to see our locals paying it. I would like to see it on the back of tourists and travelers.
No, absolutely. And then at the intersection, the Highway 55 plan there?
I have ideas. I've actually brought forth some ideas. I think we can do it. We just have to get IDOT on board, but it's definitely doable. There's ideas.
Can you elaborate on that?
Well, one of the things that would be fairly inexpensive to get us going in a hurry is most of the accidents that happen on that road last mile before that intersection, okay? So you slow the traffic down a mile before the intersection to 35 miles an hour. Half a mile in, you put a 30-second pulse light, okay? You could do that when traffic is heavy, and you wouldn't have to do it all the time. That creates breaks in the traffic, so you're not backing traffic up. And I think that would handle it until we could find a long-term solution. So we wouldn't be worrying about scrambling to get, all of a sudden you got heavy traffic scrambling to get flaggers out there. And the flaggers do their best, but it still backs up. And it still ends up hours on end. So, I mean, that's kind of an idea I could run by. You're an engineer, maybe you can tell me if that would work, but we're going to find a way.
And then what about the response? Like, what's your approach on improving the response times in some of the remote areas? I mean, do you get helicopters?
We are pretty much in AirMed County, especially in like Lowman and Placerville and Centerville. Those places, you know, the only way you are going to get somebody out is that, but you have to have an EMT to either transport that team to the location, an EMT and a driver, so you have to have somebody there, or go get the team and bring them to the person, okay? We do either sometimes in Lowman. What we really just need is available drivers that are trained and EMTs. That would do it. We have the equipment, we have the ambulance in Lowman, we just don't have the people. And it's all volunteer. Okay, so I'm 65 years old, I just became an EMT. We need younger people. We need to foster volunteerism in our youth. I think that would go a long ways in bringing this to where it needs to be, because it's a dying art. To go out and volunteer for your community long term, to take on education so you can do it.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Joy?
Well, it's probably not fair to just bring this up for just you because every candidate has really brought it up. But as far as the property taxes, do you have a plan in mind to lower those?
I do not have a plan, but I have some ideas. One of the things I see, first of all, we have to address seniors that have been in their homes for a long time. Every year their homes are reassessed. Every year the assessments go up, but your income doesn't go up. And I've talked to many people that say the tax, what they call it, the circuit breaker, that isn't cutting it anymore. So I think we need, again, to prioritize, first of all, property taxes for our seniors that have been in their homes for a long time. So that's the first thing we do. The second thing is it's tied to assessments. The assessments can be unfair at best because what happens, you paid, I talked to somebody today, paid $35,000 for their house. They've been in their home that long, they're in their 80s, right? They're sitting on the middle fork. You can imagine what their assessment is now. A lot selling for $500,000 on the middle fork, right? Because it just keeps going up, and because that guy wants to live on the river, you know, he'll pay that money coming from another state, and you're sitting there with your $35,000 homestead, and they're taxing you out of it. So I know the problems. I don't have all the answers, but I'm looking at those problems and saying that's where we need to direct this. So the other thing we need to do is our youth. Again, let's have jobs for them so they don't leave, right? So we need to look at that. We need to look at what we can do in parts of this county to make sure that our kids are not graduating and leaving so they can get jobs.
Okay, anybody else?
I have a comment.
Okay, Rob?
Marla, since you work with the state,
Yes.
you're secretary for many, and you work with the state. A lot of the assessed evaluation and taxes here, the way they're going up, a lot of it is because the school has to issue a bond.
Yeah.
Yes, and the reason for that is because the school is forced to do No Child Left Behind and fund all of that, yet the state doesn't give them any money, which is illegal, by the way, you know, to force people to do something and not give them the money to do it. And so they have to go for the bond, and that's why a lot of that goes up, and so people are madder than a hornet. But it's a state problem. They're the ones that kicked the can down the road. It wasn't the local school districts.
Yeah, and I haven't had a real close, I know Sherry Ibarra, I haven't had a real close working relationship with our state school superintendent and the way things are done, but I think it's partly there, partly the tax commission that we have to look at that with. So I would definitely be willing to address it as best I could, you know. So, I can't work miracles, but we can definitely look at it, and if it's a violation, maybe we can attack it that way.
There's all kinds of violations going on.
Oh, tell me about it. Anybody else?
Anybody else? Nope.
Okay. Thank you so much, everyone. I really appreciate it. I really appreciate Terry for putting this on. It's been amazing.
Thank you, Marla.